Everyone, welcome back to my channel, Joseph All Trades. Lovely to have you back if you're coming back, and if you're here for the first time, welcome. So my videos will be a ball of creative expression. It's mostly about me learning about my creative side and just embracing that and enjoying that. And we're gonna have a little bit of conversation as well because I get deep. This video will be about just a continuation from my first video or second video that I posted on my channel about guardianship. So that video is about just the decision that I made and some little tips for anybody who is about to journey into this guardianship role. This video is going to be about the beginning and specifically talking about the child. So when the child gets to you and how that panned out for me, and then I'll probably I'm going to be sharing some tips as well. So we're going to have about 3 pointers as it relates to the beginning and the child themselves. So, in the beginning, God created. No, in the beginning, she was excited, she was elated because she was coming to stay with me. So there was no animosity whatsoever. The parent knew as well. All right, she was aware that she was going to come stay with me, and she was pretty excited about it. So she's here. Of course, as a child, you only know that you're going to stay with this person. So they're not really aware of the why or the fact that they won't be seeing the persons that they're used to as much as they would like, or things are going to change. So naturally you won't have that uneasiness unless the child is extremely aware and already knows why they're moving, what the situation is. And depending on your relationship with the child before it, you'll have animosity. But for me, it was okay in the very beginning. Came excited, we did some trips before all this fell apart again and we had to be locked down. Travel, try to just engage her, see where she is and everything like that. So it was lovely in the beginning until a particular day. She just started to go silent. You would try to have a conversation and it would be just no response. There was crying, try to guide her in certain things. She would just get frustrated, not respond to you, a lot of attitude, just a lot of rift and stuff. And if you're not a very discerning person or fully aware, you'd think, okay, this child is just a bad picnic, like we always talk about them to be, just a bad picnic. But they're not. You have to remember that the child is coming from a totally different space into this new space, and they're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable and uneasy because this is not what they're used to. So you're going to expect a little bit of friction, a little bit over probably like the very first week of excitement, and then it gets real. It gets real for the child and it gets real for you. I suggest you share with the child, depending on the age, of course, you share with the child what the situation is. As adults, sometimes we tend to think that children don't understand. They may not be fully aware and fully understand the situation, but it doesn't mean, in my opinion, that you shouldn't share with the child, even in the most basic form that you can, what the situation is, or why they're there, or why they have to be there, if there is no other option. Right, so happy-go-lucky moment has passed and there is now friction, and you are, you know, as I said, right away you go bad picnic, can't manage, and as I said, there's gonna be a bit of uneasiness and just a little bit of confusion for the child. And just like any adult that's going through any changes, you're gonna have some discomfort. And it just like how it takes time for you to process as well, to kind of go, okay, this change kind of has to happen, or I just have to kind of take my time and go through it. It's the same thing for the child. And because the child isn't as grown intellectually or mentally as we are, it should be easier for us to go over it compared to them. So just take your time with the child. Child is not a bad pick-me, and even if the child came from a space that, because I don't believe any child is a bad child. I just think experiences make or bring out certain parts of us, or a space might bring out certain parts of us more. So just encouraging people just creates a safe space, whatever child it is that you're intending to take on under your wings. Right, so no bad picnic, just a child that needs probably some support and love and guidance. And it may be rough. Right, so with that said, so your child is in your life now and you're seeing all of these things unfolding, these attitudes, these emotions being expressed. You're recognizing that when they're not comfortable, they react in certain ways, and you have to learn those cues. So this is where now you kind of get into your learn that child mode, right? Because you probably never know the picnic before. You probably didn't know the child before. If you didn't live with the child previously, or the child wasn't around you previously, just meeting the child. Think about it. Think about the child like a baby come out of a belly, just coming into your world. And your world, number one, is different from their world. So you have to learn them. How did they express themselves in the space they were before versus now coming into your household where you already, you have your standards and you create you have certain morals and values, and you have to learn the child. I mean, we grew up in a culture that say, we shut the child down, they're not supposed to speak, you don't need to hear from them or whatever. No. To make this process smoother, in my opinion, you have to learn the child, communicate with the child, share your space. Say, this is how my space is. How was it in your space? What did you guys do in your home? When you're cooking, if you do cook, or when you go out and you travel, or language, because probably you are a little bit better off when it came to education. So fluency and speech and everything. Don't just kill the child because it's straight patois them talking to you. In the space that they grow, probably that's how they communicate. It's straight patois. Kind of engage a child and speak in their language too, but engage them to speak yours as well. So learn the child. Emotional cues, as I said, when she came to me, I said there was a little bit of rift, I think you need a bit of a discerning spirit. I'm very discerning, especially when it comes to emotions and just kind of behaviors. So when she came to me and there was this rift, I recognized right away, okay, when she misses her family that she's used to, or she's not comfortable with somebody, she starts to get fussy, she starts to cry, she kind of shuts down, she doesn't talk a lot. So that is a part of the journey of learning the child as well, you know. So don't just shut her out when you start to see her shutting you out or the child shutting you out. Don't just make can't bother and me don't know why. No, you have to learn the child, and that makes communication between you and the child even better, especially when you try to reach out to the child, because when a child locks away, I think just like adults, we lock away, but really we want somebody to be there, right? So it's the same thing for a child. And if the child is not developed emotionally, which is something we don't do in our culture, as I said, we shut down the child won't know what to tell you. In our culture, we don't talk about missing nobody, and you know, we just cut it out. Nobody with the bawling and the crying and rate, yeah, idiot, them type of thing there. So don't dismiss the child, engage the child. Why are you crying? It is okay, because we need to teach children that it's all right for bawl. I made sure to always say to her, it's okay to miss them. You're going to miss them. In my situation, I can make arrangements for her to go back to the space and just spend some time and then come back. But I say, if you want to ball. If you miss them, it's okay. It's natural. You're gonna feel that way. So emotionally, I kind of try to learn the emotional cues of when they're sad, when they're not so happy, when they're not so comfortable. All of those things. So learn the child, communicate, engage. Yeah, nice. And number 3, take the time to bring the child into your space. So as I mentioned before, as it relates to number 1, you have to remember that the child is coming from a completely different space. So don't bring the child into your space and go, them come from rate, whatever. Them better understand, say this is my yard and I saw it. I think if you do something like you're immediately going to get a backlash from the child, and the child is just going to shut you out completely, because it's like taking, perfect example, it's like taking pasta out of a pot of boiling water and just throw it in some cold water. And they say when you do that, it stops the cooking process, right? Same thing for a child. Imagine taking a child out of a space where they're used to certain things, and they come into your space and you're like, none of that no more. It's like cutting off a bloodline to something, right? It's like a flow of energy you just chop. And I think that is just will bring so much chaos and so much animosity if you're trying to build a relationship with this child, which really is supposed to be the reason behind you choosing to be a guardian. Because I think the topic of being the only option is a whole different side of things. So if you're choosing to be a guardian, don't try to force your culture and your values and your ideas onto a child. As I said in the first or the second point, communicate, engage, share your life, have them share theirs. Don't just stuff it down them throat. We speak English in here, so you better speak English too. Or also the the judgmental side of things. So you're weaning in the child, but you can't be judgmental at the same time. So it cannot be when you say something in patois, I'm just going to tell you what the English form of it is. In your chat buddy, you're idiot, you're not going to learn it. Boy, it's going to take long for you to learn this still. Like, they don't need to hear that. They just share. You'd be surprised how much they just suck it up, whatever you do, if you do it in a calm and just engaging, just a mutual exchange of understanding of each other's culture, where she came from and your new space that he or she is in. Right? So just take your time. Don't rush the process. And last but not least, and the most important point, is to listen to the child. I cannot stress how important it is to listen to the child. First of all, you have to encourage the child to speak, especially if the child came from a space that was just traumatic, and you have to create the safe space for the child and constantly encourage this child. Speak. It's okay to express yourself. You want to bawl, bawl. You don't know what to say, what you're saying, and you need to bawl, bawl. If you prefer to write it down and say it to me. Because you have some children who come from a very traumatic space and communication probably wasn't easy for them, or they tried to express themselves and immediately as they did, an adult cut them down, shut them down. Try to build a space where they can be comfortable, and I think it makes everything else easier, and that's what I did. I say it every time she's around me: speak. Do not be afraid to speak. In our culture, when we are adults, or at least when I was growing up, when you had an adult in your space, if you said anything to them that was seemingly disrespectful, even though you didn't mean it as disrespect, but in their eyes it is disrespect, I encourage her to speak, even though in previous times it would have been considered as disrespectful. But when she expresses herself after she's finished saying what she's saying, I say, okay, that you don't say again, or you don't say it in that way again, or what exactly is it that you're trying to say? I don't think that's the way you really want to say it. So we don't teach our children, and if it's one thing I realized straight away is that children are just cut and clean. It's just forthright, and they don't mean the things that they say to be bad. It's just that this is what I'm feeling, especially if you don't teach your children how to express themselves emotionally, or how to express themselves at all. They grow up in a space where people around them are forthright. They're going to be the same way. So while a child might be coming in your space and when they express themselves, you think it's a form of disrespect because of how you grew your children or how your space is, may not be disrespect in the household that they came from. So it ties back to learning a child. So, but you have to allow them to communicate, understand where they're coming from, and then it will make the space feel a little bit better, not only for the child but for you. Because think about you pressuring a child, and then the child just flips at you, and now you're stuck trying to understand why the child is behaving like this and all of these things, and the child gets angry, child and go away and all sort of stuff. So just let them speak, and then after they express themselves, you just kind of go, okay, maybe I know so you want to say it. You know what I mean? Like, take your time. Express yourself, but still be respectful with it. Somebody else may not take it the way you take it. And that's that. So, with all of that rolled up, I hope you learned a little bit from me today, and just my journey. So in the next video, so this one I'm talking about a child. In my next video, in the beginning, we're going to be talking about you, the person who has made this decision, and what it may end up feeling like for you in the beginning stages. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, and tell a friend to just listen in. So see you all next time on Joseph All Trade.